just this moment, the birds outside have started yelling. And I say yelling because what kind of bird? What's this bird called?
Crow?
No.
Oh.
It's the yellow-head cockatoos.
I thought it was a magpie.
No, it's like cockatoos.
Never
like
mind.
the
Okay,
yellow
whatever.
crown one.
They should be quiet now.
Yeah, maybe this is an Australian thing. I don't know. I think it is, like having a lot of parrots and cockatoos.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Training Arc podcast, or the TAP for short. Wait.
Yeah, I think it's fluent.
Yeah.
The tap.
The TAP. And so Tianyu, what have you been training on this week?
Ooh. For me, I think it's just organizing the podcast, I think would be my training.
This is your first time editing a podcast and
Yep.
like actually producing one, right? So what have you found in that process? Like, how have you found it?
Ooh, I'm just trying to get my way around the editing software. I'm just trying to learn it.
A lot of YouTube tutorials?
Yeah. Because actually, I tried to start a podcast previously, and I tried to edit the first one. And when I started my YouTube channel, I also have to do the edit for the voice part for the YouTube channel. And I took some of the lessons then. It's mainly just the free YouTube videos basically, but Pat Flynn is a very good YouTube channel where he actually goes pretty in depth onto how to start a podcast and how to start a YouTube channel. And I think, he is very instructive in terms of trying to get creators on the first episode. So yeah, that's me trying to sort out the podcast and trying to edit the podcast. So what about you? What have you been training?
Wait, I was actually just about to ask,
Okay.
what did you learn from, how was your previous experience on trying to start a podcast?
Yeah, okay.
What were the challenges?
I did one episode and I was not happy with it. I just discarded basically. And I talked to the friend that I did it with and he was all right and he didn't really like the episode as well. So
why not? Like, what was the issue? What do you think the issue was?
Mainly because I was kind of acting like the host and I spoke in Chinese. And as you know, my Chinese is although it's fluent, but it's definitely not on a professional level, and it's definitely not as fluent as English.
It's just a bit awkward.
Yeah,
I guess is the word I would use.
Yeah, it's very, very awkward. And I thought that I can manage it, by talking to my mom and dad with everyday Chinese, but you can't with the podcast, especially.
Maybe it's because, I don't know, like, did you and your guests know each other very well?
Not very well, but we knew each other. And he was a student of mine, actually. And, and plus, in addition, like, all the podcasts that I listen to are mainly in English. I've only listened to, like, one or two Chinese podcasts.
At the time?
Yeah, at the time. At the time, probably none. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I listen to one or two. Yeah, so I think
how did that happen? Like you two just decided to jump right in and
yeah. I think that English is more intuitive, like
for you.
For me.
Yeah.
When I do those type of
okay
videos or podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been training?
Well, I have been. I wouldn't say like. So over the past week, I've been trying to reintroduce regular exercise into my life. I've only been doing it I've kept it up for today's day 11. I've never been like a person who is, let's say like enjoy exercising a lot, and even I would say like I'm someone who doesn't really understand why people would push themselves to go through the pain and of like physical training.
Did you not have fun in the PE class when you were young?
Not really.
Oh,
no.
Wow. Okay, that's sad.
No. Like I don't mind it, but I wouldn't. So I've never implemented exercising, training. Like I've never made it a goal in my life because I don't really see how people could enjoy bringing pain to themselves, bringing like physical pain to themselves, and like trying to challenge themselves physically that way. Like to some degree, I did enjoy PE lessons as a kid, but maybe at the time it was just mainly because I enjoyed winning. And if I stopped winning, like especially in primary school, I've always been very tall, but it was particularly obvious when I was in primary school in China. So I was always the tallest girl in class, and because of the physique, I was the one who would run fastest among the girls, and who would enter those, like, what do you call them? Like 运动会, like physical
sports day.
Oh yeah, basically, yeah. Like for sports day, I will represent my class in like running and high jumps.
They're based on the height.
Well, so to select the people for that, we would just, in usual PE classes, we time everyone and rank everybody.
And you happen to be the fastest.
Yeah, I was the fastest at running. I could jump the highest, and therefore I went to sports day representing my class. So I felt like at that time I enjoyed sports only because I was good at it. Like I was winning. So it was really about enjoying the winning side rather than the physical side, like the physical activity itself. So as I moved through school and started not being the best, I kind of lost that enjoyment. Interest in sports and physical exercises. I guess except for the fact that I believe in science. I know what the medical research shows about exercising. I know that is important and good for you in pretty much all the ways possible. Like it's the medicine without any side effects,
and it's free, right?
Yeah. And it's like maybe probably the only thing in life that how much effort you put into will equate to the amount of gain. So so I know that. So
people say that exercise is like the most potent drug, right?
Yeah. So and no side effects whatsoever. So I know that is good for you. But because I didn't particularly enjoy doing it, I never I've always been very inconsistent at exercising.
Okay. Because previously, like when we go to the gym, it was always me go to the gym and you just kind of tag along. And when I don't go to the gym, then you were like, okay, like he doesn't go, then I won't go too. Like you want the one always to be proactive in terms of going to the gym. It's more
except during one particular time. For about 3 months or so, like at beginning of 2020, so last year, I was super consistent at not only gymming but waking up early, getting to the office super early, and that was like
the peak.
The peak performance in Cath life so far.
And then what happened? The lockdown happened, did it?
Yes, and then the lockdown happened and everything kind of stopped. And this time as well. So we both kind of picked up on the exercising side prior to this lockdown. And then lockdown started in June, and then everything kind of stopped as well.
Yep. So you just started on exercising.
So you mean this time?
Yep.
Yeah. So
when the lockdown is about to end.
Yeah, not only that, but because we've been long enough in the lockdown for me to go through the phase where I'm feeling really down and everything, and kind of picking things back up again. Yeah. So it's been, this lockdown again has been like a roller coaster journey, but feel like now I've slowly regained my grounds, and I want to implement exercise again, and this time my goal is not to be like, how to say this, my goal is actually not to be super productive for for exercising, but rather
just
to make it a habit.
Okay.
And and habit building and systems, it takes time, but my goal this time, I guess, is to be consistent rather than fruitful. Yeah.
And going back to you not didn't really enjoy sports at your kid, like you just want to win, right? And I think also, and I think one of the other reason is that you didn't really play any group, like team sports.
No,
did you?
I mean, when I came to Australia, I played netball for quite a while.
Did you like it?
I didn't mind it, but
okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a good relationship with your teammates?
Yeah, they were nice, but also I think I mentioned this last time as well. I was really shy.
Okay, yeah.
In that period, so I just really shy and really closed up. So I didn't mind the whole experience, but it wasn't something that particularly stood out to me, I guess.
Well, for me, I think I played sports not for winning. I played sports just to have a good time with my friends. That's all. As you can see, that in high school, two of my best friends we are both all of us are in the same tennis club, and it was kind of fun. We were pretty bad, because we were in Div 2. 2 is pretty high already, and so 1 is the highest.
How many divisions were there?
10.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were pretty high up the div, and we didn't really care about winning. We were losing pretty much every single week. It was only like that last week. It's like we have to win, and then we just won. So
do you guys drop down the div?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does this ranking mean then?
Yeah, I think it's just a very random society, like not society, like a social competition. Like all the clubs just join together and have a competition a weekly.
Oh, okay. So you guys were like the Div 2 of your club?
Yeah.
Okay, so
and we fight other Div 2s.
Tell us something about the.
Yeah.
Goes to show something about the overall competitiveness of the club.
Yeah, well, we didn't really. Well, we kind of like the.
Were your Div 1 players like a lot better, or is it like?
Yes, they were quite good. Like
okay.
they were
professional level.
Not professional levels,
okay.
but our coach didn't really care about that because we paid. So yeah.
So everyone was playing for fun.
Yeah,
okay.
Everyone was kind of playing for fun, but there were a few cheaters that were very disliked by a lot of people.
How do you cheat in tennis?
Because in tennis, like if you play,
what do you do? Like not hit the ball and
no. Like in a regular match, there's no umpire.
Oh.
Like whether your opponent hit the ball in or out of the line is your call. Yeah, I know.
But isn't that really obvious for others to see?
Sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's kind of like because.
So if it's
the
subtle,
parallax
you
error,
can kind of.
and it's like where you can see it might be in, but for them it looks really out. Yeah, but anyways, we played for fun, and we didn't really get serious into it, and yeah, it was a genuinely good time. I think that from my experience, I really enjoyed sports. I really enjoy like any ball sports. Just for the fact that I can play with others and I can have a good time with others.
Yeah. I think the people component is the important thing.
And I don't really like to play singles for tennis. I get lonely. I like to play doubles, even though me and my friend.
So basically you use sports as a social event.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Whereas my side, like for me, and also the fact that I pretty much always, so my experience with sports was always with some sort of solo kind of events.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well, including the kind of exercises I mentioned now, which makes me think that maybe it's a good time or good idea to join a group.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
And further on that, I think you fixed your internet, haven't you?
How's that related at all?
Let's keep going. Let's just keep rolling on. Like you fix your internet. Tell me about that story.
It wasn't really fixing my internet because it was never broken. It was just me that was broken in the sense that I never really joined I never really connected my devices onto the right Wi-Fi. Like, I know to anyone who's listening to this, that sounds like it makes absolute no sense. But so my apartment kind of has this setup where we have something called the NBN, National
Broadband Network.
Yep, that thing. And because of the system, like in the apartment, everyone kind of just set up like two modems.
Yeah, modems. Yeah.
Yeah, and for some reason, I've always joined onto
the wrong one, basically.
Yeah, basically. But I still don't know if it's the wrong one, because even after I called the customer service about my internet issue, they also didn't have a clear answer of what I had the other modem for, and well, I still haven't bothered to look it up, basically. But
in the end,
yeah. So the problem was we've always had laggy internet, or
very laggy internet,
very laggy sometimes. So it was like on and off.
Yeah.
And well, now it should be all good.
Yeah. Now we have the legit internet
that I paid for. Yes, I'm getting what I'm worth now. Finally, so I've been living in this apartment since end of 2017. So 4 years now.
4 years haven't used the right internet.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that did this.
No, okay, sure.
I don't know what happened.
And
honestly, it's like we never really checked this, like figured out what was the problem. We never even bothered to figure out the problem.
I think it's when you first moved to the apartment, I did the internet cable stuff, and you just left it there, and we didn't really. Yeah,
and then you told me to just join onto the Netgear one, which is
exactly.
the wrong one.
Because at that time you weren't joining Telstra at the time.
I was always on Telstra.
Okay, then my bad then.
Ooh, what a plot twist! It was actually Tianyu that guided me onto the wrong path after all.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because when I called the Telstra guys about this, he was like, "Who told you to do this? Who told you to join the Netgear Wi-Fi? Because that is not the right setup, ma'am." And I was like, I don't know. The apartment was just set up this way.
Yeah, then what is the Netgear for then?
Well.
Okay, never mind.
Well, you want to look it up?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, apparently it might be some sort of signal amplifier or something.
Okay,
like maybe
amplify anything.
Maybe it's for the like smart system.
If there's any listeners that's listening and knows about this kind of
any
stuff,
internet
maybe
experts,
you can tell us what we have done. Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, so on the weekends we actually binged the entire Netflix series, The Squid Game. It's very popular. Catherine really wanted to watch it. I was kind of a little bit hesitant on it first, but then by the first two episodes, by the end of the first episode, I think it was okay, so I can just keep watching. So do you want to give us your kind of overview, like what do you think about the TV series? Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it, not only in the sense that this is the kind of genre that I enjoy watching, but also in the sense that a lot of other shows and movies are based on like similar concepts.
Okay.
But I was pleasantly surprised by how they did their own twist on the story, on this kind of story. And yeah, that's what I enjoyed the most about the show.
Yeah, so just putting
it was worth the hype.
Just put into a little bit of a perspective. So it is about a group of people, about 500 people. Was it? 456
in total.
Yeah, who are kind of struggled in their financial life.
Struggle would be too light of a description.
Okay, like they were
like downright having debts, like millions of debts.
Yeah,
and there was no way. They were basically casted as the lowest, social division.
Okay. And they were invited to play a mysterious survival competition, right?
Yeah, it's like
and
survival
they compete in a series of children's games, traditional children's games.
Korean, yeah.
Yeah, but if you fail, you die, basically.
Yep.
But
And
if
in
you,
a lot of the games, especially at the start, it's basically like a really gruesome massacre of the people
yeah,
that failed the game, basically.
and if you win, if you get to the end of the game, then you win a very big amount of money.
And the
Based on
gruesome thing is that each person that dies in the game is
about a billion, like a billion won. Like, is that the currency for Korea?
yep, yep.
Yep.
And they convert the number of deaths directly into the billion
money,
of
yeah.
money,
Yeah.
which is kind of a, a disastrous idea.
It's kind of
really.
like that's how much your life is worth.
Yeah, that's
right?
basically it.
Yeah, it's very well produced. It's very cinematic, and yeah, I think it's a really good show. And
What made you change your mind? So previously you were like,
Ooh,
oh, this is so slow, I don't want to watch this.
because for me, all the Korean shows, at least in the past that I watched, are all very very long. After like each episode, they're gonna be like 2 hours, 3 hours long, and it's basically I watched 8 movies, right, with the length. And yes, things do happen, but I don't know. They all the characters in the most Korean shows, they just make lives complicated
That's
for themselves.
interesting. Like for you get turned off by the length of each episode, whereas for me, I get turned off by the length of entire series.
Yeah, you should try One Piece. Just treat it as like
Yeah, Tianyu is okay with watching One Piece, which has how many episodes now?
right now it's at 1,000.
Yeah, so he's okay with watching 1,000 episodes that are 20 minutes long in length. Like 20 minutes each, but he's not okay with watching 9 episodes that are like an hour and a half in length.
That's different.
No, that
like
just
I can
confuses me.
Like I can stop at the like the 100th episode. I was like, okay, I can take a break now. But if you have 9 episodes,
a 100th episode, like you will binge 100 straight and then take a break.
Yeah, basically.
So how's that different?
Like
so if you are able to watch 100 episodes of 20-minute long anime,
it's not really 20 minutes. They
15. 15.
About
That's
10
still
minutes. About 10 minutes.
Oh, come on.
Yes, they have this flashback thing for every Shonen Jump anime, where the front bit is just the previous.
So basically, you just keep skipping.
Yeah, basically.
And your attention span only lasts for 1,000 minutes each time. Come on, 1,000 minutes.
Okay, let's just move on. Okay, don't worry about that. Yeah, I often get turned off with the Korean dramas where it's often very long, and yeah, that's all.
So what was the point that it changed?
Things I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, and a lot of Korean shows they try to make this twist. I kind of see like you kind of know what's going to happen in the end, but for this one you kind of know what's happened to the end, but you want to see how it gets to the end. Like we all kind of get an idea that the main character is going to win, but we want to see how he deal with it, like his pathway, like his journey to the final victory, if he even considered that would be a victory,
right?
yeah. And yeah, it has a little bit of mysterious aspect to it also, and you want to see. I
mean, a lot of shows are like that, whereas you can see the course that it's going to go, but you still get very, very hung up on how it happens. So I guess I was trying to get to what's something that you think they did particularly well that really hooked you.
I think it's the character development bits that actually did really well.
Well, Tianyu, like whether or not it surprises you, I think the fact that the character development begins to come through after the second episode is actually exactly because they set up a longer storyline at the start.
Because at first I did not like the main character at all.
Yeah.
But as it goes on, then you start to feel then he starts changing. And I think it's more of he changed back to who he really was instead of changing to another person.
Yeah.
And
that's why it was like very necessary for the first 2 episodes to really set the scene and tell a lot about the character's past and his relationships with etc. Yeah.
There were a few things that were mainly explored in the show. One is fairness. Like in the game, they were very, very serious about, you know, we want to make the game fair for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's not going to be fair. Would you agree with that?
I mean, compared to so the idea that they want to emphasize and keep things fair is because they think, you know, these people being the low class in society, in normal society, has basically suffered from a lack of opportunity to, you know.
But do you think that the game that they played was fair?
I think it was.
No, I don't think so.
I think in the sense that, although in contrast they do show a lot of corruption and people breaking the rules.
Exactly.
But if you consider, you know, if they actually was able to prevent that from happening.
If it's completely fair, do you think the main character would actually win?
What? That's not. I don't think that's related to this.
No. Like, do you think, without taking any spoilers, it's kind of hard. So,
what do you mean?
Like when the main character played against the old guy, would you think that that's a fair? Like he won that fairly?
Yes, because they didn't know what the game was before starting.
Okay.
So the team. So people always chose whether they're playing.
No. Like how he actually won against the old guy.
Oh, was it fair in the way that he kind of lied?
Yeah, it's not, right?
But it was fine because the old guy was his opponent.
But he didn't win it fairly. It wasn't a fair game.
Doesn't matter because
No, it matters, right?
I think no. He no, I think it was fair because I think the fact that winning against the old guy was fair because they paired up without knowing what the game was about. So of course, each and every individual in that game had their own strength and their own flaws, right? There was no way of knowing who you're playing against before starting. So therefore, it was fair to.
I'm not saying the matchup wasn't fair. He lied about if it's an even number or an odd number.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Like if he wasn't playing against the old guy, then he couldn't have won the same way. So it was fair in the sense that because he chose his opponent randomly, because it was the old guy, he was able to win that way. If it was a different opponent, maybe he would have lost. Maybe he couldn't have played this way. But it wasn't breaking any rules of the game.
Did he cheat?
Yes, but
so is that a fair?
It was unfair against the old guy, but
yeah, exactly.
It wasn't unfair in the game in terms of the game.
It's unfair for the old guy, right?
But it wasn't unfair for anyone else.
No, it's unfair for the old guy, right?
But it wasn't unfair for anyone else.
But the fact that there is one person, one player that doesn't have the same opportunity as everyone else, it means that the game is not right. It's not fair.
But the structure of the game is not set up to account for everyone's needs, like everyone's vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So the rules they only have to go by the same rules.
Oh, I still don't quite agree with that.
I feel like the rules were not set up to like what I said. The rules are not set up to account for everyone's strength and weaknesses.
Let's just have another example then. You know how there is a cheater in there where the workers in there actually helped him, right? Like the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he got caught and he got executed basically, right? We're getting so much spoilers. I'm sorry, guys. Although he got executed, yeah, but he actually had the information and he won the round 2 and round 3 with the information. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair for the person that they beat and who died? Is it fair for them?
Why? Okay, so the fairness thing doesn't work here anymore because the system was already flawed.
Yes, that's what I think. That
it was broken. But if the system wasn't, if it held up, then there is a level of
I think that
objective
that the
fairness
main competition that they're trying to show is that fairness is what we try to strive for. But in the society and with any competition, you can't really have entirely fairness.
Strict.
Yeah, there is nothing entirely fair. Is not it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and it wouldn't create any opportunities for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's strictly
So
fair,
I think
100% fair.
that although the main focus for the competition was fair, it was never
I don't
a fair
think
game.
it was fair. Like, although they said we want to be fair, but the fairness part was for giving the same opportunity to everyone who played. It wasn't the fairness wasn't in the sense that we are going to implement fairness accounting for everyone's abilities. It was just implementing the fairness of opportunity given to everyone. So everyone who plays in the game are given the same opportunities.
Okay.
The rules were not there to protect everyone's strength and everyone's vulnerabilities, weaknesses.
I'm not saying that if the rule accounts for everyone's vulnerability and strength, then the game wouldn't be fair.
Yeah. So it wasn't giving a chance. So it wasn't trying to implement a fairness of chance. It was trying to implement fairness of opportunities. It wasn't implementing fairness of chance of winning. It was just trying to implement
I see what you
fairness
mean.
of opportunities.
I think we are talking about two different things. I think what you're talking about is where everyone has the chance to win the final thing, right? Doesn't matter how you actually win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that when you have a competition, although the competition is really everyone can have a chance to be the final winner, but the competition itself, how you compete, is not fair.
So you're talking about ethics.
Not really. It's like,
you're saying that everyone should.
for example, if you have a lightweight champion up against like a super heavyweight champion, is the game fair? Yes, it is fair. Like, they both have the chance to win the final of the game.
Not when you knowingly put them into the same, for example, weightlifting competition. So the way they implement fairness in this system, in the Squid Game, was by not telling anyone what the game was going to be.
Okay. Yes. That's it. But for the old guy,
so there's an element of chance.
There is an element. Well, this is the next thing that we're gonna look at is luck. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like that the main character won against the old guy.
Fair and square.
Yeah. It wasn't fair and square, right? Because
Yeah.
if you play the game fair, he would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be fair. So
what are you trying to get?
What I'm trying to say is that this competition is like the society where we want to be everything to be fair, but there are always going to be cases where things are not going to be fair, and we just have to deal with it.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah. Like, I see what you're trying to say is that everyone can have a chance to win the final one. I agree with that.
Yeah. But because I think we kind of got off on a mismatched direction.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, you were thinking that the whole thing the game was about was whether anyone can win fairly.
No.
Whether the protagonist can win fairly.
I'm talking about a minor, like you're talking about the big picture. Like, everyone has a chance to win.
I was talking about the system of the game, whereas you were talking about how the game inflects some part of real society.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And the next thing is luck. Yeah, and our protagonist, without luck, I think without any luck, that he would never have made the final stage, right? And yeah, luck is I think it's one of the biggest part in the game. Luck versus skills. Do you think that he's definitely not the most skillful, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just happened to win. I think luck is a very big part of if we choose, if like in life, if we decide to choose a pathway, like at the moment that we're choosing it, it might be a good idea, but whether the final result would be good or bad, it's purely by luck. So what I'm saying is that just make the best decisions that you think that is right for you right now, and don't worry about the future. Because there's a very big part of luck component to it. It's like the Stoic
in
saying,
real life.
It's like the Stoic saying, like, do best of what you can control and forget about the rest.
You're going to the philosophy of existentialism.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
I don't like that argument.
Okay, well, let's move on then.
because that kind of just disvalues all of the things that people think, we should strive in life and we should work hard.
No,
we control our own fate, etc. But you're saying that luck is the biggest thing, therefore
I'm not saying that.
doesn't
I'm
even
not saying
matter.
that. I'm not saying that. It's like you should perform your 100% at the things that you can control.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And discard the rest, because the rest is just basically
not worry about the rest.
Yeah, well, okay. And the last one, I think, is human nature, right? And whether you have a good heart or not.
And
whether
of course,
you're a very good person.
And of course, the show was again promoting
be
good
a nice
nature.
person, right?
Yeah.
Be a good guy.
Yeah. I mean, although, I think. But don't you think the main character in the story, don't you think like him being nice, helped him to get better luck, to get more people on his side in a way?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so doesn't that impact the luck
of course
thing? So you don't think luck is like set? You think it's fluid? Or
I think you can control your own luck.
that's
like
doesn't that contradict?
I truly believe that if you are
okay, so if you work harder and if you're nice, you get more lucky.
I think so, yes. I think that whatever you do will come back to you.
So what's the definition of luck then?
I don't know. It's chance, fate. I don't know.
You started off defining it as something that's completely random and out of our control.
Yes,
you were doing the stoic thing where you're like, okay, try 100% on the things that you can strive for, but forget about the rest. But then you were saying if you do 100%, then you will get better luck.
I think that good things will happen to you when you are being nice, because you are interacting with people, and people remembers, and people will.
It's kind of like the idea of if you want to be helped, you help others first.
Yes.
Okay.
No. I don't think you should have the intention of getting helped by helping people. Like, for example, like if I want to help a person, I shouldn't have the intention of they should help me back in the future.
No, I'm not saying they like themselves, that particular person. I expect help from that particular person. But what I'm saying is, if you want the society in general, if you want the system in general to be more supportive, to be more helpful, to be a better environment, better soil, better ground to grow on, then you should step out of, maybe step out of your comfort zone and be the one that actively, like, how do you say this? Like that's so you have to align with your own vision first and be the one that's helpful first.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
We are all where we are today because of the society, because of, the entire humanity. We can never achieve anything if we're just ourselves.
Yep. And because this is a survival game TV show, right? And there's two others that kind of is in the same format. The first one is the Hunger Games, obviously.
I think there's more. But
yeah, the ones that I've watched, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The ones I've watched. And the other one is Alice in Borderland. Which one do you prefer out of the three? And why?
Out of the three?
Yeah.
I think right now I prefer the Squid Game the most.
Yep.
Because I feel like the team really had a good understanding of how to change the pace of the story to make it not only like engaging and thrilling, but it's also like it kind of gives you opportunity to breathe. Alice in Wonderland and the Hunger Games.
Alice in Borderland.
Sorry. Yeah, Alice in Borderland and the Hunger Games are kind of like, a show that you have to hold your breath the whole time watching.
So you think it's too intensive?
It's intense, but the fact that I'm using the holding the breath analogy because basically you can't hold your breath forever. And so therefore, if you keep getting the intense action, some part of you, at some stage, you're going to be less engaged.
Okay.
Whereas if you change up the pace,
Right. But from
And also, I feel like the Squid Game explores a bit more of that human nature that we're talking about.
Yes, that's I think
not only whereas Alice in Borderland and the Hunger Game, it's made to be more entertaining.
We're action based, right?
Yeah.
And this one, I think one of the biggest difference that I can think, I thought of this in the shower. The biggest difference in the Squid Game is that the competitors, that the people that were competing, they joined the competition out of free will, right? The other two, they were forced. Because in the Squid Game, they gave them a chance to leave, right? But they chose to stay and come back to the game.
Yeah. That was the biggest, exploration of human nature.
And I think out of the three, the Squid Game explores the human nature.
Wait, what happened in Alice in Borderland? How did they enter the game? Was it just random?
Yeah, it was just like you enter the toilet and they came out of the toilet. And
but why were they being chased? Wasn't it also...
We don't know. It's in season 2. It hasn't come out yet.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But for me, I actually prefer Alice in Borderland.
But I thought in all three shows, so this is before you told me that we don't know why they were being chased, but I thought they were being chased because it was also like a low societal thing. Like the three people didn't really have a high social standing, and therefore they were being chased and like kind of...
Yeah, all the competitors were kind of a lower class. I don't know if
same
if that's
in Hunger Game.
Yeah.
District 12 was the low one.
Kind of.
Something like that. There was always this idea of the lower class. Yeah.
But I think that Squid Game explores that in depth a lot more.
Because of the fact that they show... I like that the title of that episode as well. Yeah. The real living hell was outside of the game.
Yeah.
So, for those people, it was really not a choice.
For me, I actually prefer Alice in Borderland because different to the other shows, that Alice in Borderland has has the mystery aspect to it a lot more. Do you think so? Like how you actually win the game is kind of not straightforward. Do you remember Alice in Borderland?
I do. But do you have a particular example?
I think it would be very spoiler if I... Okay, so do you remember the match where they were in a bus and they have a phone?
Okay.
And if you get away from the bus, the number grows.
Yep. Running.
Yeah, the running. But the final thing was you have to be staying close to the bus.
Yep. The phone was actually showing the distance away from where your goal is. Yep.
The mystery aspect I really, really like.
That's not really the mystery aspect. I think what you're saying is you enjoy the intellectual challenge again.
Yeah, maybe.
You think it was the puzzle solving. It was exciting.
Yes. And it was the
reverse,
version.
the reverse thinking and stuff like that.
And the gamified version of the entire show. I really liked it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think so. You enjoyed the puzzles. In that. But I think that actually doesn't contradict what I was saying. So how Alice in Borderland I feel was designed to be more entertaining.
Yep,
rather than having those.
Yeah. And because when I first watched the Squid Game, I didn't really like the main character because he had a really bad personal finance sense, right? He was gambling. When he won the gamble, he doesn't save the money, he just spends it everywhere.
But as we saw later on in the series, it's actually a result of what he's been through.
Yes,
like the factory incident. I think his habits and his life views, his views on life, he's kind of discarding life's value kind of was because of the things he's been through and starting from the factory incident.
Okay. Right.
So for those who don't know,
I don't think I actually paid attention to his backstory part.
Okay, so I'll brief it for you and for anyone who
this is
can't be bothered.
Spoiler. Okay,
that's okay. We'll just put spoiler alert in the description. So basically, he used to be a factory worker at a a car factory,
car
something like
factory,
that.
yes,
At a
another car
factory,
factory, yeah.
factory worker, and basically the people, the how do I say it? Like the bosses,
The manager?
yeah, basically it was a really corrupted system, and they didn't pay their workers. They didn't pay the factory workers. And at that time, the main character's wife was pregnant and going to give birth to his daughter. And so it was a time where he really, really needed a lot of money. But the factory was like, we don't have any money to give you, and was about to fire a lot of workers. And therefore the workers like started a... Yeah, well, anyways, the factory workers want pay and don't want to be fired, so they started protesting. And basically they held a siege in the factory, locked down. So they locked the factory down, and they all hid in the factory, waiting basically for the police to break in. And it ended up becoming a very, very serious incident, a really serious crisis where people actually were killed. And the main character, he was hidden in like the kind of a protection that they set up with the equipment in the factory, and so he hid there, and he wasn't kind of beaten by the police and the bad guys. But because he was hidden, he also had to watch his best friend in the factory die in front of his eyes. And yeah, basically from that point on, he was not only deep in debt, but started this, like, that's basically how his life turned upside down. That's the point where his life turned upside down. I think he never...
How does that relate to his habit of gambling?
He never really got out of, like, he was mentally damaged. Like, he never really got out of the depression from losing his friend. And because he wasn't able... So remember, another part of the backstory was after the factory incident, which at this point I feel he was probably already in debt, because, you know, he had his daughter coming along, probably had to borrow some money to make up for that. But not only that, after this point, so after he became officially unemployed, he started to, he attempted to build his own businesses, and he tried twice, both of them failed. So you can imagine at this point, it was just debt rolling on debt. And of course, because he couldn't actually make any money and afford for his family, he lost the only people that he was close with. His wife divorced him and took his daughter away. And so I think he was just, so mentally he was just destroyed. There was no one or nothing good in life for him to grab onto, for him to hold on to stay hopeful in life anymore. And yeah, I think the character development was trying to show that these people were not
important than money.
Yeah, and also the fact that these people were not struggling because they wanted to, because they intentionally wasted their life away. There was something else, you know. There was the unfairness in society that triggered a cascade in this normal person's life that ultimately brought him down to nothing. Yeah.
Have you had did you make any mistakes in your personal finance before?
No.
No?
Well, except for the fact that I don't have much knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I think in my personal finance, if I actually know, because I started working at a quite young age, I started to save money at a quite young age. So I always had this thought of back of my mind, I want to make money with the money that I already made. And I've always, like, my parents always encouraged me to save money. And yeah, my parents always encouraged me to save money and to, I don't know, to be not wasteful, like, in money. And to always have a saving in case something emergency happens. And yeah, but I kind of knew that, but I didn't really follow it when I was young. When was the turning point? I think it was when...
What do you mean you didn't really follow that?
I followed it. I had a really big saving because because there wasn't any reason for me to spend the money.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I was actually in charge of my own money for the first time, I basically screwed up.
What did you do?
It was traveling to Japan. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It was
Our first trip to Japan?
Our first trip to Japan. It was kind of, it's kind of, so we went back to China first.
Yeah.
And then we went to Japan, and then we went back to China again, right?
So this was back in 2017?
Yeah, that was kind
End of 2017?
Yeah, that was kind of the period where I had quite a bit of money.
Okay, so that was from his savings working as a tutor throughout the years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was quite, I had quite big saving, and I was completely on my own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was kind of like, I can really decide what I want to spend my money on. Yeah?
Right.
And I did not follow the rules. Yeah.
Right. So you didn't really calculate how much you want to spend and how much should you keep as your emergency fund, etc.
I basically spent it all.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all of it. I feel like it wasn't like we went on a very luxurious.
It wasn't
trip.
Luxurious.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And that is why it is bad, because if we plan things out with the amount of money I spent, we could have had a really luxurious trip.
What did you spend it on?
To be honest, that's one of the biggest reasons that I think I didn't note down what I spent on. I didn't note down because it was only when I look back onto it. Oh, I spent this amount of money. That's very big.
So you only realize how much you lost, but you actually still have no idea where it went?
Yes. And so that's why I really emphasize.
How do we even split that the cost of that trip?
I think that it was.
I think it was me who paid for the accommodations.
Yeah, accommodations, and I paid for the plane tickets. And
not for both of ours, was it?
I converted $1,000 of AUD to Japanese money. I think it was. Okay. And then we actually spent a lot of money on your Visa card as well, right?
On the travel bank card that I actually set up, it was the money that I intended to spend, and that was all my, like I set that aside.
It wasn't only in Japan. Like Japan, that I think we were only like
Japan was okay. Like I mean, we only had to go to the ATM and take out more cash like once or twice. We did extend our trip a little bit in the middle, but I think overall, at least for me, I felt like it was all planned. Yeah,
I think it's also because that it's our first time going overseas.
International travel by ourselves. Yeah.
So it was kind of like a learning experience as well.
Yeah. We also didn't have a full understanding of how much
money that we actually need.
Like no, we didn't really set a really strict budget.
Yeah.
But I think maybe you might have lost a bit when you for your own travel part in China. Yeah,
I actually did not.
Which you didn't obviously didn't tell me about.
Because in China, the currency is divided by 5. I was like, oh, it's so cheap.
Yeah. That's what I tend to think as well.
If things adds up, it's actually quite costly.
Yeah. And you kind of don't think about the conversion rate each time you spend. It's like a couple $100 yuan. You're like, oh, yeah, that's not much. Yeah.
And it's actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the mistakes that I've made, I feel like. And so from then on, I try to, whenever I go to a place or something, like I set a pretty strict limit, plus minus 10%, I'll say. And I think
how did that change for you? How did that change for you for our second trip to Japan?
I think did you like the second trip more or the first trip more?
I enjoyed the first trip more, but that was due to other personal reasons on the second trip. Yeah. So on the second trip, not only were both of us like very sick with the flu, but it was also like really tiring because Tianyu was
preparing for an exam,
revising for an exam during the trip, which like for me,
Okay,
yeah.
throw the preparation for the exam out. Which one would you have enjoyed?
I cannot throw that out because
sure.
for me, like I need to totally be in the moment and relax fully, and the mental side of things and the physical exhaustion because we were sick, made the experience less enjoyable. But I could see why you think the second time was better, but I just wouldn't say that for me personally.
Okay,
yeah.
right. I think I enjoyed the second one because it didn't really broke my bank, I'll say, right? And we were pretty smart about finance, I'll say. And yeah, on the second trip, we spent the money where we actually would enjoy it. Like we spend money on experience, not the products.
First time did we spend on product? Oh, you spent a lot on
Yeah.
claw machines.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I spent quite a bit on claw machines and like what's that store called? In Akihabara? Yeah, Sega claw machines and like Manghe, what do you call it? Mystery boxes.
Yeah.
Like mystery bags. Yeah. And a lot of like on that, and yeah, it's not smart. It's very addicting. Okay, so that's why I think that whenever I go to a trip or anything, I kind of set a budget. Yeah.
Good.
And I stick to it.
Okay.
And what about your personal finance? How do you?
I have really limited financial knowledge, so this is definitely no financial advice or anything at all. This is like just don't take this as advice at all.
This is just what we do.
Yeah, but basically I only really became financially independent. I will say
in your PhD?
No, a bit earlier than that.
Final year.
Yeah, final year in university. So third year university was when I actually wasn't it somewhere in second year actually?
I don't know.
Now I'm getting a bit confused. Wait.
Well, let's just say that towards the end of university, bachelor's.
Yeah. Towards the end of bachelor's, it
doesn't matter about the time really.
But I wouldn't actually. Maybe official like for financial independence, I would say PhD because the scholarship is my official income, and because I currently live in an apartment that's bought by my parents, so it doesn't really count, but I would say that even if I have to pay for my own accommodation now, I am financially able to do that now, so I will call this officially financial independence. But the thing that's towards the end of bachelor's degree was just I stopped asking my parents for money. I was able to live on my own savings and some earnings. Yeah, because I've never earned a lot of money anyways. So it was mostly most of it is just saved in the bank. Is that what you call it? Like yeah. And then maybe 50 to 30% ish is put into any sort of investment.
Did you hear about investments before I told you about it?
I did because both my parents work in
Did you
banking.
not try to make an effort to look into that before I told you?
No, not really, because although that I was aware of it, I wasn't. I didn't actively seek to learn about it. It probably should have done it earlier, but also at the time, I guess I really just didn't. I really wanted to be financially independent in the sense that I didn't want to ask my parents for any like cost of living. So I had to just save up in order to achieve that, to make sure that I have my own emergency fund, so I don't depend on them as my emergency fund. And
Remember that time where I asked you to try to log down your spendings, right? That was the time when I tried to log down every one of my spendings previously, but now I don't. There's a very good reason for that, because a lot of times when I actually log down my spending, there's always like 20 cents or 30 cents difference. It's mostly like it's 20 cents short basically, and I will stress over it.
Okay, so you feel like you don't know the source of that. Well, you don't know where it's gone to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know where I've lost it. And it stresses me out a lot.
It sounds really unhealthy.
Yeah, because I do want to know where my own money went.
Okay, because you freaked out after the trip.
Yes, basically, yes. And that was like a big slap on the face. It's like, hey, wake up.
Right.
But yeah, it stressed me out a lot by not knowing where the small amount went. So now I don't do it. I basically set. So this is what I do basically. So my income comes at the end of month, right? I put a part of it straight to the investment banks and some into a set amount into the saving banks straight away. And the rest I can spend however I want it. And so that is kind of my approach.
What percentage do you save up in general?
Right now in lockdown, because I do still live with my parents. And I'm not financially independent at all. So I would say I can save up, including the investment, I can say around about 60 to 70%. And the rest, I can do whatever I want. But in lockdown, I kind of just put that into the savings bank anyway, because it's lockdown.
Anything left over, yeah. Okay. And how do you feel about the investment side? Like, what's your attitude on that?
I always try to look for investments.
When did you start? Why did you start? How did you become interested in this?
Yeah. Okay. So when I first got paid in year 8, year 7, I was earning quite a bit for a kid. I really want to save it up, but I always know the word deflation, inflation and deflation, where if I just keep the money in the bank, they will worth less over the time. I don't want that. So I asked my mom, could you put my money into your stocks? And so the stocks will go up and go down. But the problem is that my mom deals with Chinese stocks like all the time, but not the Australian stocks. And my mom really wants to encourage that saving mindset. So there's like, okay, so you can put into the parent bank. So they kept the money and they gave me a percentage of interest every single month. It was really high. It was 10%.
What? Did they really keep it up?
Yeah, they kept it up.
Oh.
But it wasn't like interest on interest. It was just like a set amount interest over a year.
Okay.
So it's like if I give you,
so the total yearly total interest.
Like if you let us keep the money for a year, then you can have 10% of the interest. Yeah, but 10% is really, really high. And so I've always had the mindset of keeping money. And when I got to university, I was like, okay, so I can't keep doing that anymore. So I tried to look out for any what do you call blockers? What do you call dealers for stocks?
Okay, brokers.
Brokers, thank you, brokers. And and I couldn't really find any good ones. I mean, like the legit ones. Yeah, so I tried to look into it, but there wasn't any too much information on that. So yeah, I just hold it off. But now I invest basically purely in index funds and only a small percentage in the cryptocurrency. But the cryptocurrency is like a gamble, right? I just throw money in and not expecting anything to come out anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's the mindset I was trying to get to. So the fact that we treat money into those more risky investments as money that we throw away, so we don't really get disheartened or anything by it. If anything happens to it, we treat it as money that we've already thrown away, basically. Yeah.
So a cryptocurrency is quite a dangerous game. It's certainly people say that, right?
No. There's a difference between you can gamble with it or you can kind of hold on to it. But either way, you mean like gamble with it as you people who watch it so intensely and okay, I'm gonna buy it today and sell it like as soon as this reaches whatever. But then that plays with your mindset of always wanting to win and always want more, and that's basically gambling, and you're really risking losing everything. But if you sort of treat it as, okay, I'm just gonna buy it put it there for, I don't know, 10, 20 years and not care about it. Treat it as money that you've thrown away. Another thing that we've gotten from Ali Abdaal. But yeah, then you no hard feelings for it. You don't get mentally obsessed.
If there's a listener right now that's, let's say, a college student or university student or someone in high school that started working part-time, okay, and they have a paycheck, and what kind of advice would you give them?
I wouldn't give any financial advice because I am definitely not the one qualified to do so. But I would encourage them to seek out the resources online, and there are so much resources online. Maybe we can put some that inspired us into the podcast description, and but take everything with
a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because financial advice, sometimes it works for some people, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and you never know how things are going to change. But it's good to learn about these things. Yeah, it's definitely
I think the
helpful.
safest one is just to keep in the bank. I think that would be the safest option.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. That's the option where
it can't really go wrong. Can't go wrong too badly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though there's
Only
a
thing
little
happens,
bit of deflation.
Yeah.
But that won't, like, compared to you losing money, it won't
Like
be.
really losing money by gambling and stuff.
Yeah.
There's something else I've talked about with my friends in terms of investments. And that's so investing in stocks or funds versus investing in properties.
Oh, yes.
Do you have anything you want to talk about regarding that?
My parents are very firm believers in investing in properties. Because I think they have a very good history with investing in properties.
As in, like, they themselves were successful with
that? They were very successful, like, in investing properties.
Okay.
Because in China, especially in Shanghai, the investment, like the property value times by 10 over a decade, which is like unimaginable. And in stocks, my parents do, because a lot of the financial mindset and my views on investing are from my parents. I do feel like if you don't really know what stocks are and how stocks works, you're basically gambling. And if you want to investing in stocks, I think that it's either that you spend a lot of time and a lot of work try to look for like how the stocks works and really make sure that you understand that what you're putting your money into, instead of basically gambling, I'll say. Because I did actually lost quite a lot in stocks before I made the index fund.
You didn't talk about that.
Of course. I didn't tell you that because I lost about $400.
Oh, in the long term.
In the long term, like it's really short, right?
Yeah,
but for me, it's quite a lot at the time, right? Because if you think about my paycheck.
As a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, it was quite a lot.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why I try to avoid stocks as much as I can, like a single stock as much as I can.
Wait, we're getting off topic though. How do you think, so how I think about the problem, the issue with stocks or index funds versus investing in properties is like the stakes of...
The amount of money that you need to put in, you mean?
Yeah, basically the amount of money you need to put in is very different.
Yeah,
isn't
very
it?
different.
But
yes.
So I was surprised when my friend told me that she would rather invest in properties.
Ah, yes. Actually, I'll tell you one of my stories that a friend, my dad's friend's daughter, it's kind of hard to explain. So she wants to invest in a property, but she only started the university and she doesn't have any money at all, basically. And she wants to invest in
Why are we talking about investing without money?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. She called every friend of her dad to try to borrow money.
Oh.
Yeah.
So bold.
Yes, it is. And it was kind of, I was kind of shocked when I listened to it. But what do you think about that? Do you think that it's the right thing to do?
I'm gonna need more context than that.
Yeah, well, sorry. It's very hard to explain. I think, well, for me, I think that the amount of money that you have will determine what kind of investment that you do.
Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should borrow money to invest because I really think that I don't know, it feels irresponsible.
Do you don't like the idea of being in debt?
Yes, I really don't like the idea.
Yeah, the risk is too high to be playing around with money at that level. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
So if you want me to say if I have money,
but what about in terms of the skills and knowledge that's required for these two options? Would you think that investing in properties would be like a safer option, or like requires less knowledge of the world of the less knowledge of the finance world?
I think if you want to find a good property, like if you want a good investment property, you will still have to actively seeking out, like going to open days and look at
at least learning about
yeah. And so I think that in terms of housing and apartment.
But ultimately, I guess what I'm comparing is the learning slope, right? Which one's more steep?
I think, of course, that the stocks will be more steep because Warren Buffett is not even sure about how stock works.
But isn't his theory the one that's most like supported? Like his
his view is that no one can really beat the market.
Yeah, no, not a single. How does it work?
Most people don't beat the market. And so his idea is just to put it into an index fund. Yeah. An index fund is basically you put in $100 into an index fund, and that $100 divides to a very small percentage of, let's say, 500 companies. Like you get a little bit of shares in each one of those. And
so you're investing in the market overall, rather than
like investing in the market overall instead of putting everything in one basket.
Yep. So you wouldn't get big gains, but you also wouldn't get big losses. You are investing in the long term.
People actually got a very big loss.
Yeah. No.
I mean,
no. I mean, by investing in you mean by investing in index funds, people actually lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, but there's also that the other condition of you have to put in for long term.
You're playing the long game, basically.
Yeah, very long game. So, I mean, after 10, 20 years, hopefully the coronavirus wouldn't matter anymore.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so overall, the market should still rise.
Yep.
And you gain a small, tiny little percentage of that.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else to talk about.
If you keep asking, I will always dig something up.
Okay. Right. Okay. So this is the place to end it. I think, so we talk about our shows, the shows that we enjoyed. And thank you for listening.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.